Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating story of a coin you may have overlooked in your spare change. The 1970 Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it might look like just another old penny. But hidden within that small copper circle could be something far more valuable than you think. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just curious about rare coins, this video will reveal why the 1970 penny is one you should not ignore. So grab your magnifying glass, and let's get started. To understand the 1970 Lincoln penny, we have to go back to the origins of the Lincoln cent itself. First minted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln penny broke new ground by being the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real person. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse side of the coin displays Lincoln's profile, a symbol of honor and respect for the man who led the country through the Civil War and abolished slavery. Fast forward to the year 1970. America was in the midst of social and political change. The Vietnam War raged on. Protests filled the streets, and the economy was adjusting to a changing global order. Amid all this, the U.S. Mint continued its operations, and in Denver, a small detail on one humble penny would spark interest for generations. The 1970 penny was struck at the Denver Mint. It carries the D Mint mark just beneath the date. It was made primarily of copper, 95% copper, 5% zinc, the same composition used from 1962 until 1982, when rising metal prices forced a shift to cheaper materials. Over 2.9 billion of these pennies were struck in 1970. So why would anyone care about one of them now? Because not all 1970 pennies are created equal. Some of them have very special features. Certain varieties of the 1970 penny are known to collectors for their doubling errors, minting anomalies, and even die variations. The most famous are called double die obverse coins, where the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "in God we trust" appear to be stamped twice. These doubling errors can significantly increase the coin's value. But what makes the 1970 penny really fascinating is the combination of rarity and demand. One particular variety, known as the 1970 small date with a large date reverse, has become legendary among collectors. But even within the Denver minted coins, pristine uncirculated examples or coins with mint errors can be worth much more than 1 cent. Far more. Let's talk about market value. As of now, in 2025, a regular 1970 penny in circulated condition is still worth around 1 cent, but that's only if it's ordinary. However, if it's in mint state, especially in grades like MS65 or MS67, its value can jump dramatically. A 1970 Lincoln cent graded MS67 red by a top grading company can fetch over $100 or more at auction. And if it has a unique die error or is part of a rare strike, it could be worth several $100s. Collectors today are on the hunt for these coins. Online marketplaces, auctions, and coin shows often feature high-grade 1970 pennies. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified many of them, and their price guides reflect the steady increase in value over time. So if you happen to have a roll of old pennies lying around, now might be the perfect time to take a closer look. How can you identify if you have a valuable 1970 penny? Start by examining the coin under good lighting. Look for sharp details, minimal wear, and strong red coloring. Coins that have not darkened or turned brown. Check the date and mint mark for unusual spacing or doubling. If you suspect it may be a valuable variety or in exceptional condition, consider sending it to a grading service. Their authentication and certification can help you unlock its full market potential. Let's summarize. The 1970 Lincoln penny may seem ordinary, but for collectors, it's a potential treasure. With the right condition or a special mint error, that 1 cent coin could be worth 100 times or more its face value. It's a reminder that history, artistry, and even a little mystery can live inside the coins we carry every day. We're diving into the fascinating story of a small coin that might just be sitting in your pocket or coin jar right now, the 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Don't underestimate it just because it's a common copper coin. Some of these are actually worth much more than 1 cent in today's market. We're going to explore the history of this penny, what to look for that makes it rare or valuable, and what kind of money collectors are willing to pay for one of these coins today. Let's start with the basics. The 1977 Lincoln penny was struck by the United States Mint and features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, or obverse, of the coin. This image has been used on the penny since 1909, when it was introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln portrait became iconic and has remained essentially unchanged on the front of the coin for over a century. In 1977, the U.S. Mint produced the Lincoln cent at 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most of these coins were made from a copper alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% zinc. That means these coins actually contain real copper, which gives them a certain amount of intrinsic metal value, especially today as copper prices have gone up over the years. The Philadelphia Mint coins had no mint mark. The Denver Mint coins have a small D underneath the date. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins that have an S mint mark and were specially made for collectors. Now, in terms of numbers, more than 4.4 billion 1977 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and over 4.2 billion came from Denver. The San Francisco Mint produced over 3.2 million proof coins. With numbers like that, you might think these coins are too common to be worth anything above face value. And for most examples, that's true. But there are a few key details and errors that can make certain 1977 pennies highly collectible and much more valuable. One of the first things to look for is condition. If your 1977 penny is in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been used in everyday transactions and has no wear, it could already be worth more than 1 cent. Collectors often pay a premium for coins with sharp details and a glossy finish, especially those graded as mint state 65 or higher. A high-grade 1977 penny from either the Philadelphia or Denver Mint can sell for several dollars, and sometimes even more depending on the demand. But what really gets collectors excited are error coins. These are pennies that came off the press with mistakes, and those mistakes can make them rare and valuable. For example, some 1977 pennies have been found with doubling on the letters or numbers. This is known as a double die error. If you see doubling on the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date 1977, you might have a double die variety, and those can sell for anywhere from $20 to over $100 or more, depending on how strong the doubling is and what condition the coin is in. Another valuable error is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted to one side. Off-center 1977 pennies that are significantly misaligned, especially those missing about 50% of the design, can be worth $50 or more, especially if the date is still visible. There are also clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin is literally missing because the blank metal piece was improperly cut. These can be worth a premium too, especially when they are dramatic and well-defined. Let's talk about proof coins for a second. The 1977's proof penny is a specially made coin with a mirror-like finish that was not meant for circulation. These were included in proof sets sold directly to collectors. While most proof coins are worth just a few dollars, flawless examples, especially those graded PR70 by professional grading services, can sell for higher prices, sometimes reaching $50 to $100 or more. So what about today's market value? A regular 1977 penny from circulation is still worth 1 cent. But in higher grades, you could see values anywhere from $1 to $10 for coins in mint state. Double die errors, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets can range from $20 to several $100s, depending on how rare and dramatic the error is. Proof coins in perfect condition also have collector value. Even if you just melt the coin down for its copper content, which is technically illegal to do in the US, it would be worth more than 1 cent because of the copper value alone. As of today, the metal in each pre-1982 penny contains about 2 to 3 cents worth of copper. That alone makes these older pennies worth hanging on to. Let's go over what you should do if you think you have a valuable 1977 penny. First, check the condition. The better it looks, the more it's worth. Second, check for errors like doubling, off-center strikes, or missing parts. Third, if you think it's something special, consider getting it graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Graded coins are often worth more and are easier to sell to collectors. To wrap it up, the 1977 Lincoln penny may not seem like much at first glance, but certain versions of this coin can be worth far more than face value. Whether it's because of high-grade condition, rare minting errors, or simply its copper content, it's a coin that collectors pay attention to. So next time you get change back or sort through an old coin jar, Keep an eye out for the 1977 penny. It might just put some unexpected money in your pocket. We are diving into one of the most iconic and overlooked coins in American history. The humble 1-cent penny featuring Abraham Lincoln, minted in the year 1980. You might think this coin is just pocket change. But hold on. Some of these coins are actually worth way more than 1 cent. Some are worth hundreds and even thousands of dollars depending on their condition, rarity, and unique characteristics. Let's start by going back in time for a moment. The year was 1980. Jimmy Carter was President of the United States. Mount St. Helens erupted. Pac-Man hit arcades for the first time. And in the world of American coinage, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies. Yes, billions. In fact, over 12 billion Lincoln cents were struck in 1980 across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. The 1980 penny features the famous bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, which has been in use since 1909. This was the first time a U.S. president appeared on a regular issue coin. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the portrait is a tribute to the 16th president and his enduring legacy. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparo. This reverse design had been used since 1959, marking the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Now, what makes the 1980 Lincoln cent so interesting and potentially valuable today? Let's break it down by mint marks and varieties. First, we have the 1980 penny with no mint mark, which was struck in Philadelphia. Over 7.4 billion of these were made. Generally speaking, these coins are only worth face value in circulated condition. But in mint state condition, especially grades MS65 and higher, they can be worth more. An MS67 red 1980 Philadelphia penny has sold for over $100 at auction. Yes, a coin that cost 1 cent can sell for 100 times that amount if it is in pristine condition. Next, the 1980 D penny. The D stands for Denver, and this mint produced over 5.1 billion pennies that year. Like the Philadelphia version, most are only worth face value. But again, high-grade uncirculated examples are where the value lies. An MS67 red 1980 D penny has fetched more than $200. Why? Because collectors are always looking for the highest quality examples, and it gets harder to find them as time goes on. Now let's talk about the 1980 S penny. These were proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint. They weren't meant for circulation. They were made for collectors and came in special proof sets. These coins have a mirror-like finish and sharp details. Over 3 million of these were made. Today, a perfect PR70 deep cameo example can be worth over $50 to $100 depending on market demand. But there's more. Some of the most exciting values come from error coins and varieties. Error coins are coins that were struck improperly due to a minting mistake. These include things like off-center strikes, double dies, and clipped planchets. A 1980 penny with a major off-center strike can easily be worth $50 to $200 or more depending on how dramatic the error is. A double die obverse, where the image appears doubled, is extremely rare for the 1980 penny but always sought after. If you find one, you could be holding a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. There are also coins known as transitional errors, although these are less common for 1980. Transitional errors occur when a coin is struck using a composition or design meant for a different year. For example, a rare and valuable error would be a 1980 penny struck on a leftover blank planchet from a previous year. These coins are very rare and can fetch high prices at auction. So, what is your 1980 Lincoln penny worth today? If it is a regular circulated coin, it is probably worth 1 cent. But if it is in mint state condition, especially red and uncirculated, it could be worth $1 to $200. If it is a proof coin in flawless condition, you could be looking at $50 to $100. And if you find an error coin or a rare variety, your 1980 penny could be worth much, much more. But how do you know if you have a valuable one? Here's what to do. First, check the coin's condition. Coins with no scratches, no nicks, and no signs of wear are more valuable. Second, check for a mint mark. Look just below the year. No mint mark means Philadelphia. D is for Denver. S is for San Francisco. Third, look for unusual features. Does the coin look off-center? Is there any doubling in the date or letters? Any weird shapes or missing details? These could all be signs of a valuable error coin. And finally, consider getting your coin graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can dramatically increase the value and trust in your coin when selling to SO. Next time you're sorting through your change jar or looking at an old coin collection, don't ignore the pennies, especially not the ones from 1980. You might just have a treasure hiding in plain sight. We dive deep into the world of coins, cash, and collectibles. If you've ever searched through your spare change or coin jar hoping to find something valuable, you might be closer than you think. Today, we are talking about one of the most interesting and confusing years in the history of United States coinage, the 1982 Lincoln cent. That's right, a penny that might just be worth a small fortune. Some of these coins are selling for hundreds and even thousands of dollars in the current market. So grab your coin collection, settle in, and let's dive into the fascinating story of the 1982 Lincoln 1-cent penny. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. The front side or obverse shows a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse originally showed 2 wheat stalks, which later changed to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959 and then to the Union Shield in more recent years. For decades, these pennies were made primarily of 95% copper, but by the early 1980s, the rising cost of copper forced the United States Mint to reconsider. That brings us to the pivotal year 1982, a year of transition, a year of confusion, and a year that gave us not 1 or 2 but 7 different varieties of pennies. Here's why 1982 matters so much to coin collectors. That year, the United States Mint switched from making pennies out of 95% copper to a much cheaper composition, 97.5% zinc with a thin copper coating. The reason was economic. The value of copper had gone up so much that making a copper penny cost more than 1 cent, but the transition did not happen overnight. Throughout the year, both copper and zinc pennies were minted. And not only that, but the coins came in 2 different sizes of lettering, referred to as large date and small date varieties. When you do the math, that gives us 7 official variations. Let's go over those. First, you have 1982 copper large date, 1982 copper small date, 1982 zinc large date, 1982 zinc small date, and then you have those same varieties minted in Denver, which include 1982D copper large date, 1982D zinc large date, 1982D zinc small date. But here's the kicker. There was never supposed to be a 1982D copper small date. Yet somehow one has been found. Yes, only one known example of a 1982D copper small date penny has been authenticated. This makes it incredibly rare and potentially worth a life-changing amount of money. So how do you figure out which version of the 1982 penny you have? First, you'll want to weigh it. A copper penny weighs about 3.1 grams, while a zinc penny weighs only 2.5 grams. A simple digital coin scale can help you out here. You can find one online for less than $10. Next, look closely at the date. The large date has a thicker and more rounded appearance, especially the number 2. In the small date, the number 2 is more delicate and curves closer to the number 8. It can take a trained eye to spot the difference, but once you see it, you'll start to notice it immediately. So how much are these pennies actually worth today? Let's break it down. The common copper and zinc varieties, especially in circulated condition, are worth just a penny, maybe a few cents to $1 if they are in mint state or uncirculated condition. But when you get into higher grade examples or certified versions, values begin to climb. A 1982 small date copper penny in high mint state can sell for $10 to $50, depending on the grade. A 1982 small date zinc penny in pristine condition can go for a bit more due to rarity. But the real prize is that 1982D copper small date, the only one of its kind verified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC. In an auction, that coin fetched over $18,000. Yes, a single penny worth just 1 cent in face value sold for more than a brand new car. And collectors believe there may be more out there. That's why people are still checking their change every single day. So what can you do? Start by checking your change jar. Look through your coin rolls. Separate out all the 1982 pennies. Get a small digital scale and sort them by weight. Then compare the date design. If you find anything unusual, especially a small date with a Denver Mint mark that weighs over 3 grams, you could be looking at something very special. It's also worth submitting coins to a professional grading service if you believe you've found something valuable. A certified grade can add serious credibility and significantly boost the resale value of a coin. The 1982 Lincoln cent is a great example of how history, economics, and minting technology all come together in one small copper or zinc disc. Whether you're a new collector or a seasoned expert, this coin offers an exciting opportunity to hunt for something rare and possibly worth a lot of money. So the next time you get change at the grocery store or bank, don't just throw it in a drawer. Look closely. That 1 cent might be your ticket to a treasure. We're diving deep into a small but mighty piece of American currency, the 1991 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. You may think it's just another common coin in your change jar, but don't be so quick to overlook it. Some of these pennies are worth more than 100 times their face value, and in some rare cases, even thousands of dollars. So grab your magnifying glass and let's uncover the secrets hidden in your pocket change. Let's begin with the background. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln penny was the first U.S. coin to feature the image of a real person. It replaced the Indian head cent and quickly became a familiar fixture in American life. Over the years, it has gone through several changes in composition and design, but the familiar bust of Lincoln has remained a constant reminder of the 16th president's legacy. Now fast forward to 1991. At this point, the Lincoln cent had already seen several transformations. The back of the coin still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparo that had been introduced in 1959. From that year until 2008, the Lincoln Memorial reverse was used before being replaced in 2009 for the bicentennial celebration of Lincoln's birth. But 1991 was a year without any commemorative changes. It was a regular business year for the mint, meaning millions of pennies were struck for circulation at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. However, not all of them were created equal. Let's talk composition. By 1991, the U.S. Mint had switched the penny's composition to a core of 99.2% zinc with a thin copper plating, making the total weight about 2.5 grams. This switch had happened in 1982 due to rising copper prices. That means if you're holding a 1991 penny, it's most likely made mostly of zinc. However, in very rare cases, transitional errors can occur where a coin might be struck on the wrong planchet, such as a leftover copper-based planchet. These are extremely rare and highly valuable to collectors. So what should you be looking for in a 1991 Lincoln penny if you're hoping to cash in? There are a few key things to keep an eye on. First, look at the mint mark. The 1991 penny was struck at 3 locations: Philadelphia, which bears no mint mark; Denver, which shows a small D under the date; and San Francisco, which produced proof coins with an S mint mark. Among these, proof coins from San Francisco are more desirable to collectors, especially in pristine condition. These coins were never meant for general circulation and were struck multiple times for a mirror-like finish. If you happen to find one of these still in flawless condition or graded PR70 by a major grading company like PCGS or NGC, it can command a high premium, sometimes up to $100 or more depending on demand and quality. But even more valuable are error coins. The most valuable 1991 Lincoln pennies are those with striking or minting errors. Some of these include double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, or clipped planchets. A double die occurs when the coin is struck by a misaligned die, causing the image or letters to appear doubled. This is particularly noticeable on the date or the word liberty or in God we trust. If you spot doubling with the naked eye or under a loop, you might be looking at a coin worth several $100s. Another rare and valuable variation is the 1991 D penny struck on a bronze planchet. This should not exist, but mistakes can happen. If a bronze planchet from 1982 or earlier was left in the machinery and accidentally used in 1991, you have what's known as a transitional error. These have sold at auction for well over $1,000 in some cases. You can tell by weighing the coin. If it weighs about 3.11 grams instead of the expected 2.5 grams, that's your first clue. It's recommended to get these coins authenticated and graded by a professional service. Next up is condition. Even without errors, condition matters a lot. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A 1991 penny in circulation is often in average condition, maybe grading around XF or AU if you're lucky. But an uncirculated 1991 penny with no wear and sharp detail, especially one graded MS66 or higher, can be worth several dollars, sometimes even more to the right collector. In MS67 or higher condition, prices can reach $50 to $100 and above, particularly for coins with eye appeal and good luster. Proof coins graded PR70 are especially desirable. These are almost perfect specimens with no visible marks even under magnification. A 1991 S-proof penny-graded PR70 Deep Cameo has sold for over $200 in auctions. So how do you know if your penny is worth something? First, check the date and mint mark. Second, look at the weight if you have a scale that can read to hundredths of a gram. Third, examine the coin closely for any errors or doubling. Fourth, consider the condition. Is it circulated or crisp and new-looking? Finally, if you suspect you have something rare, get it graded. It might cost a little, but the payoff can be huge if the coin is valuable. To wrap things up, the 1991 Abraham Lincoln penny might look ordinary, but its history, variations, and potential errors make it a fascinating coin to study and collect. Whether you're a new collector or a seasoned numismatist, always keep an eye out for those small details that can turn a common coin into a rare treasure. We dive deep into the world of rare coins, valuable cents, and hidden treasures you might just have sitting in your pocket change. Today, we are going to take a closer look at the 1996 1-cent Lincoln penny and explore why some of these coins are worth far more than just a single cent. We will cover its historical background, the reason behind its design, the mintage numbers, key errors and varieties, and most importantly, how much your 1996 Lincoln penny could be worth in today's coin market. So if you have a penny jar or a coin collection nearby, grab it and start checking, because by the end of this video you'll know exactly what to look for in your 1996 pennies, and which ones could fetch you hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's get started with a little history. The Lincoln cent first appeared in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. It was the first regular issue United States coin to feature a real person, and it was designed by Victor David Brenner. For many decades, the reverse side of the coin featured two wheat stalks and was known as the wheat penny. Then, in 1959, to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 50th anniversary of the coin itself, the reverse was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. That design continued until 2008, when it was replaced with several one-year-only designs in 2009, and finally the Union Shield design beginning in 2010. So the 1996 penny is part of that long-standing Lincoln Memorial series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. Now let's zoom into the specifics of the 1996 1-cent coin. This penny was made of copper-plated zinc, a composition that had been used since 1982 due to rising copper prices. Each coin weighs 2.5 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. There were three main mints involved in striking the 1996 penny: Philadelphia, which struck coins without a mint mark; Denver, which struck coins with a small D mint mark; and San Francisco, which produced proof coins bearing an S mint mark for collectors only. In terms of mintage, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 6.6 billion pennies, while the Denver Mint produced nearly 6.5 billion. That means the coin is very common in general circulation. However, don't let the high mintage numbers fool you, because there are specific varieties and conditions that make certain 1996 pennies very valuable. Let's talk about some of those now. First, the proof coins from San Francisco were made in limited quantities, just under 2 million, and these were not meant for circulation. They have a mirror-like finish and frosted details, and if kept in pristine condition they can be worth several dollars, sometimes more depending on their grade. But the real money is in error coins and high-grade examples. Some 1996 pennies have been discovered with striking errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and even transitional metal errors, though rare. One famous example is the 1996 double die obverse, where the letters in the word Liberty or the date itself appear doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. These errors are rare and desirable to collectors and can sell for upwards of $50 to $100 or more depending on the severity and condition. Another factor that affects value is condition, and grade A standard 1996 penny from circulation might only be worth face value, but if you have a coin that is in uncirculated condition or has been professionally graded by companies like PCGS or NGC, then the value can increase dramatically. For example, a 1996 D penny graded MS67 red by PCGS has sold at auction for over $200, and an even higher grade like MS68 red could command $500 or more depending on demand. Collectors pay a premium for coins with full red color, no blemishes, and sharp strike details. If you are unsure of your coin's grade or value, it's a good idea to have it appraised by a professional or submit it for grading if you believe it might be in high condition or feature a rare error. Let's talk about current market demand. As of this year, the market for Lincoln cents, especially those with unique traits or pristine conditions, has remained strong. Coin collectors love Lincoln pennies because they are accessible, easy to collect, and full of history. Online marketplaces like eBay, Etsy, and coin auction sites regularly feature 1996 pennies being sold for anywhere from a few dollars to hundreds depending on condition and rarity. You'll see listings for 1996 double die errors selling for over $100. Proof coins from San Francisco often go for $5 to $10 if they are in their original packaging, and slabbed MS-68 red coins can reach several hundreds. So if you have a 1996 penny, check for mint marks. Look for the D for Denver or no mint mark for Philadelphia. If you see an S mint mark and the coin is shiny with mirror-like surfaces, you likely have a proof coin. Then check for errors like doubling on the date or lettering. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect it closely. Also look at the coin's color. If it has a strong original red hue and shows no signs of where you might have a valuable coin on your hand, store it carefully. Avoid touching it with bare fingers and consider professional grading if it appears to be in top condition. To wrap things up, the 1996 Lincoln penny is a common coin, but within that massive mintage are some real treasures. Whether it's an error coin, proof coin, or a top-graded business strike, these coins can be worth significantly more than a penny. Start checking your change today, and you might just uncover a coin worth hundreds or even thousands. Video: we are diving deep into the world of coin collecting and history by exploring one of the most iconic and affordable coins in American currency, the 2008 Lincoln 1-cent penny. While it might seem like just a common coin found in pocket change, this penny has a fascinating backstory that connects directly to American heritage, and in some cases it might even be worth a lot of money today. So stay tuned as we break down everything you need to know about the 2008 Lincoln penny, from its history to its unique varieties, and how some of these coins have become valuable treasures for collectors in 2025. Let's start with the basics. The 2008 Lincoln penny is part of a long series of coins first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. He was the first historical figure to appear on a regular United States coin, and his profile has remained on the front or obverse of the 1-cent coin for well over a century. The reverse or back design of the Lincoln penny from 1959 to 2008 featured the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This design was created by Frank Gasparo and replaced the original wheat ears that had graced the reverse from 1909 through 1958. The year 2008 marked the final year that the Lincoln Memorial reverse would be used. Starting in 2009, the U.S. Mint issued a series of special reverse designs celebrating Lincoln's bicentennial and the different stages of his life, so the 2008 penny holds significance as the last of an era. For many collectors, that alone makes it notable. But what truly makes some 2008 pennies worth much more than face value are the unique minting errors and varieties that occurred during production. Let's look at the mints. In 2008, Lincoln cents were struck at 3 locations: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, Denver coins have a small D mint mark, and San Francisco coins bear an S mint mark and were made as proofs for collectors. Most of the time, a circulated 2008 penny is only worth 1 cent. But the real value comes in when we start looking at condition, rarity, mint errors, and collector demand. For instance, some 2008 pennies have doubling on the obverse, particularly on the lettering or date. This is known as a double die error. While most examples are minor, a strong double die can increase a penny's value to anywhere from $25 to $150 depending on its sharpness and condition. Then there are off-center strikes, which happen when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process. A dramatically off-center 2008 penny with good detail and a visible date can be worth $50 to $100 or more. One of the most sought-after varieties for 2008 are the satin finish coins. These were not made for circulation but came in special mint sets sold to collectors. The satin finish gives the coin a smoother, more refined appearance, and the details are usually more pronounced. If you come across a satin finish 2008 penny in pristine condition, especially one graded MS-68 or higher, it could be worth $20 to $75. Now let's talk about proofs. Proof coins from San Francisco are struck multiple times with specially prepared dies. The result is a mirror-like background with sharp frosted details. A 2008 proof penny in perfect condition graded PR70 deep cameo can sell for $30 to $60 or more. But what about the highest value examples? The record sales for 2008 Lincoln cents come from coins with perfect grades or extremely rare errors. In one notable auction, a 2008 D penny with an exceptional satin finish and graded MS69 by PCGS sold for over $500. That's 500 times its face value. If you think you might have a valuable 2008 penny, how can you tell? First, check the condition. Coins with no scratches, dings, or signs of wear are worth more. Then look for oddities such as doubling die cracks, off-center strikes, or anything unusual. You can also weigh the coin. A standard 2008 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams because it is made of a copper-plated zinc core. If your coin is significantly heavier, it might be an error coin or made from the wrong planchet, which could be very valuable. The current market for 2008 pennies is strong, with interest in modern era coins growing and demand for high-grade examples increasing. The value of these coins is going up. Collectors are especially looking for coins in mint state with grades of MS67 or higher. Online auctions show prices from $10 to $200 depending on the condition and rarity of the specific variety. So, should you keep your 2008 pennies? Absolutely, especially if they are uncirculated or from a mint set. Even if they are not currently worth a fortune, they might gain value over time. Coins like these are historical artifacts and hold a snapshot of American history both politically and economically. To wrap it all up, the 2008 Lincoln penny may seem common, but it's anything but boring. As the final year of the Lincoln Memorial design, it marks the end of a 50-year tradition. With multiple mint varieties, satin finish options, proof coins, and potential for valuable errors, this humble 1-cent piece might be worth your attention and maybe even your investment. So next time you see a penny on the ground, take a second look. Could be a tiny piece of history waiting to be discovered. And who knows, maybe your 2008 Lincoln penny is worth more than you ever imagined. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, make sure to like and subscribe for more content on coins, currency, and collecting. Let us know in the comments if you have a 2008 penny in your collection and if you have ever come across one of the rare varieties we mentioned.